Are you one of the people who currently have home insurance and you feel like you pay every single month but it never pays you back? Is it because maybe you aren't claiming or you are claiming but they might be so small the insurance company isn't covering it? If that's one of you, today what I'm going to talk about is insurance a scam. I'm going to talk about the advantages of having insurance on your home versus not having anything at all and how it can help you if tragedy strikes or if you have a huge financial loss. The first thing though that I want to go over today is just a quote that I found. It says the pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. The reason I picked this one out today is because I feel like when we talk about insurance in most aspects, people are extremely negative towards it. I'm hoping by the end of the presentation I have today, you'll be a little more optimistic about your insurance and have a better understanding about it as well. So like I said, is insurance a scam? I want to go over first, what is insurance, some of the jargon with it, just so you have a better understanding. So the first thing is, how does insurance work? Every single month or possibly even every single year, you go ahead and you pay a dollar amount out to get a policy. That policy is going to be in the form, of paper, and it's going to tell you they're going to cover this or they're going to cover that or they're not going to cover this. So that's very important. I think that's a step that some people will look at and say, oh, I thought, it was covered and it wasn't. It may be because sometimes the wording in your insurance policy can be confusing. So it's just something that you want to make sure you go over, you understand it fully, and make sure you have the coverages that you think you should have. The big thing when you take a look at your policy, if you decide to do that after this video, the words covered loss and limits are very important. Covered loss says how much, what we're going to cover. Is it going to be your home? Is it going to be the property inside your home? Is it going to be your garage? So those are your covered losses. Is it, from a rainstorm or from hail or what it is? Do we cover flood? Do we not cover flood? Those are your covered losses. Your next one is going to be your limits. So how much insurance do you have? If you have an expensive house but you don't have expensive insurance, you may not always be covered, which is why some people get a little bit negative towards the insurance industry if they don't get enough money what they think they should have. The other thing that the insurance companies are looking at when they when they give you your insurance is, will you have a large loss? So a large loss is going to be a hail claim, if your roof goes out. Fire claim is going to be a huge loss. Tornadoes are another one. Anything that's going to be super destructive and cost the insurance company lots of money. So just to give you a little bit of a background, there's an underwriter that works in an office and he takes a look at your home, he takes a look at the area you live in, and he or she decides, are you going to have a large loss? Are you more likely to have hail like Texas does a lot of? And that's how they're going to decide on rating your insurance, so how much you should have to pay for your insurance. The other thing they're going to look at, and as I said before with Texas, if you live in Texas and you have a claim in 2019, and because Texas gets as much hail as they do, you're probably going to have another claim in 2020. They're going to look at that too and decide, that's why your insurance is more expensive. Bottom line though, from what I've talked about so far, is insurance a scam? No, insurance is not a scam. So I have here a picture of a Victorian house. I decided to go with that because it's currently what I own, so I know a little bit more about my own personal policy, than other people's policies. So the big thing I think you need to do today while listening is ask yourself this question. If tonight your house was to burn all the way to the ground, would you be able to pay for that completely out of your pocket and bring you all the way back to where you are currently financially? If you answered no, like most Americans are going to, you need to have insurance. So that's another reason why insurance is not a scam. They're going to pay you back when you have a large loss like that. They're going to pay that claim out to make sure you're back to the financial stability you were prior to having, that huge loss. And like I said, many people don't. You have to think, to rebuild a home, it can cost you $50,000, it can cost you $100,000. And a lot of people just don't have that sitting around. Like I said at the beginning, though, what about financial loss? This guy here, he's stripping on a banana peel. How does financial loss really deal when it comes to your home policy? So, like I said, that last image is pretty funny. It's not necessarily realistic, but you need to go ahead and ask yourself this question as well. You're at your house, and you're having a party, and you know that your stairs in the back hall, they're a little bit rickety, and you have a couple friends that go ahead and they fall down those stairs. At that time, you are legally liable if they are actually injured and go to the hospital or decide to go to the hospital. You are liable for that claim. You will have to pay out on that claim. And like I said, medical payments are super expensive, just like insurance. So medical bills are expensive. If you have to pay for that claim, you can claim it on your home insurance most of the time, depending on your policy, and it's going to pay it. But you're legally liable. So, the definition for what is liability is the state of being responsible for something, especially when it pertains to a law. So you're liable for it. So you want to make sure you have coverage, and you want to make sure you use that coverage, because you're probably not going to be able to afford to pay those medical bills out of your own pocket. Now, what happens if you get sued? Because you can also get sued, if a dog bites a child, things of that nature. That's where your insurance company also comes into hand. They're going to go ahead and they're going to fight for you if you do get sued. Statistic that I got from 2014 to 2018, it showed that 0.03% of home claims would have MedPay on them. Now, that is a really small amount. However, again, if you don't have the money in your pocket, a small amount doesn't matter, because unfortunately not everyone is that lucky. It could happen to you. So to wrap up what I talked about today, should you have insurance? I'm going to say, yeah, I think you probably should have insurance unless you have a lot of money you're sitting on. Why is it important? Financial need. The big thing about today's presentation was just opening people's eyes back up to, why do we need to have insurance? Why is it important? And I think I've covered those topics pretty well today, but you as a consumer, you still get to make that decision. Do you need insurance or do you not? But I hope you take a look at my presentation and it makes you think what's best for you. I appreciate your time today, and I have added some citations here.